Okay, we are back live. Welcome back to the channel, guys, where you can get delusional with Paulo. The point is that if you're tired of not being able to make a breakthrough, you need to get so delusional until your reality changes. All right? I'm right there with you. So today I wanted to talk about the topic of anger. And before I do that, I want to share with you what book I've been doing this series off of. When we get more people in the community, I do want to do a book club. So that's my goal here. So just make sure that you guys see it. Letting Go by David Hawkins. All right. It's got to be on my top 5 for sure. But all right. How's everybody's week going so far? Um Anger. So it's one of those lower vibrational emotions, but however, it does have a lot of energy tied to it. So if we go back to like decisions that we make and how we manifest our lives, a lot of times we like to give credit to either good things or bad things happening to us just out of like pure luck or bad luck and not really by our conscious efforts. Whatever your life is like right now, just take a moment and think back. How did I get here? Whatever your life looks like, your daily routines, where you work, who you're with, the environment you live in, these were actually conscious efforts. And maybe subconsciously, we are driven into those by pure habit or how we were programmed. So, really setting our mind to something by accomplishing goals, it is truly by our power. If we're able to let go of some of these lower vibrational emotions, we really do have the power to create any life that we want. If you're able to let go of the desire, you let go of the desire because you block the power. So, meaning, if you're continuously just holding on to, I want that, I want that, I want that, and that's the only vibration that you stay in, when is when are you able to manifest? When do you actually have the power to manifest? So as soon as an idea or a thought comes into your mind and there's intention of going from point A to point B, that bridge is already built. You just have to walk across it. If you keep getting a certain outcome, that is because of you, not because of your spouse, not because of your boss at work, not because of your friends. You choose your environment. You choose what you take with you, what you hold on to, and it's really taking the blame off of others and not really going and blaming yourself. It's just know that you have the power to get out of your own way. And if you think about anger, we are really hanging on to the egos of us, which ego is not who we are. It's just ego is that other person, or that, what do they say, that um alter ego, right? So alter ego, why? Is because it's not who you are, but it's something that you're attached to. So yeah, look at the other things in your life, your beliefs, your decisions, your energy. How do you wake up in the morning? Do you feel fully rested? What are the things that you think you need to do to kind of set the tone for the rest of your day? Are you waking up and you're got 10 minutes to get ready, brush your teeth, get out of the door, get to work, you're in traffic, you're rushing to work not to be late? Or are you waking up early, you're giving yourself time, maybe doing meditation, maybe going for a walk, maybe going to the gym, reading a book, something to where your mind doesn't have to be on the go the moment you wake up. Usually there are payoffs for this negative self-talk. And if if you can put yourself in a victim role mentality, that can come as like pity from others, people feeling sorry for you. Think of all the things that are negative. Let's say you're a smoker and that's how you cope with emotions. You need to go outside and you need to have a cigarette. You cope with those with a negative emotion, unhealthy, but you can go outside and go for a 10-minute breather without saying that, "Hey, I'm a smoker. I need to take a smoke break." So just try to replace whatever you're doing unhealthy by something that will not just help, it won't help you just distract from what you're going through. These negative self-talks, this programming of thinking that there's actually a positive aspect of why you're holding on to a bad habit. These programs keep you stuck. So I want to talk for a second about selfishness. So I can relate to this. If you're doing something for someone out of a sacrifice, it's really different than saying I'm doing it as a service. So let's say you lend somebody money. Instead of holding on to, hey, this person hasn't paid me back and I'm carrying this around every day and I'm having resentment, I'm having bitterness towards this other person. If you let go of wanting your money back or desiring your money back, that energy flows freely, and you'd be surprised in how things return to you once you let go, right? So in saying about selfishness, it's okay with you tell yourself, I'm going to give this money to this person and they're going to give it back to me. What has helped me before? If I am not completely comfortable with handing somebody $1,000 and never seeing it again in my life, then I'll do it. And if not, then I'm sorry. I've had to say no to family members. And I've had to say no plenty of times because of a disappointment. I still have a family member right now that owes me over 5,000. And that happened close to, or maybe about 10 years ago. But you know what? I just let it go. I said, take it as a gift. And sometimes, and I'm not saying this about my family member now, but sometimes this was in a movie. It was in the Bronx Tale, and this kid had owed, or somebody owed this kid money, and this kid goes up to the older guy, the mafia boss, and he says, "Oh, I need to go find this guy. He owes me money." He said, "How much you owe him?" I think it was like $20 or something. He's like, $20. If $20 is all you needed to pay someone to get them out of your life completely, then just leave them be, right? So one thing about selfishness is not practical. It's our small self holding on to guilt. So you just know that coming to this world, coming to this life is not all about how you get ahead. Know that sometimes the universe needs you, and I don't want to say uses you, but you are a vessel to not just something valuable as money, but time, attention. So if something great happens to us, also in return, receive it as is because of our own intentions, right? So it's meaning it's not just about luck. It's about you intended things to happen. And I get sometimes you're caught off guard by something not going your way, but we can actively choose a better life than the one we have. So I've been uploading videos every day. Nothing big happened in my life. It's just one day I chose, hey, I'm going to start waking up early. I'm going to get up early and start my day. Start it off by meditation and then get to work on my computer. Because honestly, this is taking a lot of my time. Editing and figuring out what's my plan. There is a project that I'm working on. It's just if I'm waking up at 5 in the morning and then my meditation takes me about 6, then I got all this time to work on before I choose, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym. Hey, I'm gonna go visit a friend. So just know that you can always choose better. It's never too late. So, anger. How easy is it for us to be angry, to be bitter about a situation, to have resentment towards a person? Because you're always feeling that somebody has to be right and somebody has to be wrong. And guess what? A lot of times it's us. It's the person actually holding the anger that needs to be right. I know someone very close to me who's all about respect. The moment he doesn't feel respect, he gets upset. And this can be anywhere. This can be in traffic, in the car. But guess what? Guess who holds on to that anger? Guess who suffers? That person. Not the person that cut you off, not the person who was rude to you. It's the person holding on to that anger. We can easily always find something to be angry about. It has a lot of energy, but instead of using that high energy of anger towards somebody else, use it in your own benefit. use it as a motivation to change your surroundings, your energy, your decisions. If you're not happy where you're at, change it. But oftentimes we do lose control. You have to be able to release anger and not hold on to it. So it can be very hard. I know the other day I was kind of upset. I had a disagreement with someone in probably right at the height of me and my energy and emotions. I just not in a space to meditate. So what could be better? Going for a walk, going to the gym, releasing that anger instead of holding on to resentment. Make a decision to be creative. So this has happened in another, actually with the same person. I had a disagreement, and I can feel myself just kind of like my heart rate was going up. Probably my blood pressure was going up, my breathing, my heart rate, and I could feel myself getting myself amped up. And for a split second, it just crept in there, right? I was like, I need a timeout. And I went in the bathroom and I breathed and I took some deep breaths and I looked at myself in the mirror and I told myself, I'm not going to leave this bathroom until I come up with a solution. And it was very interesting to me that I was able to find a solution that worked out for everyone. So use it to be inspired, motivated, have some growth, right? Because we're not all perfect. I mean, it's a human emotion. We've been getting angry because we weren't fed or we didn't get held, or we've been angry since we were kids. But as kids, they go off of instincts. Now as an adult, you have full control of what is your reactions going to be. Are you going to react or are you going to respond? Learn something new about yourself. How proud of you are going to look back and say, wow, I really handled that pretty good, you know? Instead of anger, accept how things are. And I know things can be it can be pretty hard to accept, but you can only control you. You can't control what another person is doing. The source of anger comes from fear and pride. You go back to the story of lending out money. Your fear is they're not going to pay you back. And maybe you're coming to a situation where you could use that extra money that you lent to somebody. And then pride, it comes from, well, they should know better. They're adults, right? They ask for money and they should give it back. They shouldn't take um what is that word? Um Wait, what is that word? When somebody you take advantage. That person should have take advantage of me. But sometimes you really just have to let go and accept that if that's the person that they are, what did you learn from that? You learned to maybe not trust them anymore. So, with sacrifice, you can really grow resentment. And a lot of times in relationships, especially romantic relationships, we can do a lot of sacrificing. because we told ourselves we are going to neglect ourselves and we're going to people please and then we're going to sacrifice ourselves to make somebody else in a better position. Instead, we say, we're doing this for you because I love you. And that's it. That's it. Out of service. It's crazy how two people can just grow with resentment because one is saying over here, I'm going to work every day and I'm sacrificing for our family, and then the wife's at home and she's taking care of the household and the kids, and I'm sacrificing myself and I'm not living out my true passion because I'm here home with the kids. But deep down, what was it for in the first place? If you go back to the original decisions of why you did that, it was out of service. But time does go on, and then they're not acknowledged for it anymore. They don't feel appreciated. So one thing that I have learned being in relationships, if you want something better for yourself, if you want to feel accepted, appreciated, acknowledged, you have to give that out yourself. So with this low vibrational energy called anger, you probably feel a lot of resistance to, let's say, the other person to be okay, right? Instead of you yourself being more loving, more accepting, more, you appreciate the other person, you acknowledge them for what they do, you want to be resistant and have withdrawals and pull back and say, well, I'm not going to do this anymore because they haven't shown me this, and they have no clue. And you might feel some pressure that maybe if you don't keep up with your so-called sacrifice, they're not going to love you as much anymore. So you're kind of like manipulating the the relationship, because I don't know if you ever kind of came across like somebody forcing compliments. So it's really about acknowledging and relinquishing the anger. Just let it go. And trust me, that's just a lot more easier said than done, right? Because we just live in our heads. And these thoughts, even though a lot of times we don't say words out loud, we keep them up here and they just keep repeating itself. So just be more aware and ask what is it that they are asking for above their hurtful words. When somebody's talking to you out of anger, there's a hidden message there somewhere. And unfortunately, sometimes people come and they say, "Well, you're a bad person, you're an idiot, you this, you that, like you don't do this, you never, you always." There's a hidden message. It might mean that you're not giving that other person enough attention, enough love, enough affection, enough where that they feel. They feel they're being neglected, and maybe as soon as you come home from work, all you want to do is dump all the bad things that happened at work that day, and you don't give them a time to maybe speak what's on their mind or talk about their stress. You always have to be there for them. So another true thing that I know is you are just acting as mirrors for each other. And between two romantic partners, I can really, you can really relate to that. And but this can be anybody. This could be siblings. Could be between parent and a child. Is you act of a mirror of each other. So how hard would it be for someone to be mean to someone who is more loving, right? Because the person that's giving more love also should know that if they are acting as their true self, they're not going off of retaliation. No matter what, they are being their loving selves. They would know that either they need to get distance between this person, right? And really go and think about it. You can never go wrong with trying your hardest, right? You shouldn't have to match somebody's energy if if you really truly ended up marrying a narcissist. I mean, I think we're all a little bit, not we have a little bit of narcissism in us, but you really have to look back and say, I cannot let myself fall into that. Let myself fall into that energy. I can't. But you also will be surprised sometimes when you stay over here on your side and you say, you know what? I know you're angry. I'm going to let it go. Kind of like how the other person most of the time will think of how kind of dumb they feel for acting a fool for nothing. So just be thankful for continued opportunities to grow. Look at what needs to be addressed. We're not all perfect. Sometimes we just go through life by just like a tumbleweed in the wind. You're just letting life take you. Get up, drive to work, be at work, drive home, eat dinner, go to bed. It's just like the same thing at least 5 days out of the week. We're in a routine. And when routine just really hits you, it's like you're kind of like this, self-centered, and kind of have the blinders on to anything else around you. So choose to stay, ch- choosing to change to a better situation and not through being wrong, right? So if you choose to change because you want to be in a better position, it'll put you in a lot better energy, a lot better place, rather than you were forced due to being wrong. Don't always look for wrongness. Don't always look for somebody being right and anybody being wrong. Anyone to blame or not blame. Everybody's right, really, in their own eyes. I'm right. You're right. You're right. Whatever you say is right. I know a lot of times that's helped bring down the energy of someone being angry when all you do is disagree with them. And it's not being sarcastic. It's when it comes down to it, whatever say somebody says out of their own mouth and they believe it to be true, that's their truth. I can't sit here all day and argue with you and say you're wrong and I'm right. I know a lot of sometimes I've been in this kind of relationship where I was just waiting for the right time for this person to slip up, do something wrong. When really I wasn't truly happy. And overall, I wanted to leave, but I didn't want to be the one to leave. I didn't want to be the one blamed for ending a relationship. So it's like, when can I get this person to just really slip up and not cover their tracks? And when can I just, okay, this is it. The one thing that you did, this relationship is over. Rather just make the decision to be done. Be thankful for people doing actions towards us so that they feel acknowledged and appreciated. Like I said, don't pressure for expectations. Don't do something and then expect something back. If you have in your heart to say yes or do it, or you come up with the idea to say, hey, I thought about this, let me do it for you. Okay, that's it. Don't expect anything in return, because it's our expectations of somebody else that gets us in trouble. Surrender that pride. Be okay with something happening or not. Be okay either way. Don't expect feedback. Let go, and it probably will happen for you. I know it's a beautiful feeling, right? When we're appreciated, and a lot of things that I've read and even on YouTube, they say, a man just wants to feel acknowledged and appreciated. Well, I think everybody does. But there's like, a man is very about logic and reason. So a lot of times, just by telling him, hey, thank you, honey. Like, I know you go to work every day and you do a lot for us. You don't spend a lot of time with us, but I know it's for a reason. It's not always going to be like this. All right. And then, like, how easy that can be for a woman. They say, wow, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you don't get a lot of sleep and you think about how these kids are going to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. you know, Thank you. So yeah, this when we let our ego talk, when I let our ego think, when we let our ego do actions, we are accepting that smallness. Anger is like this, it's a chronic built up of resentment, and then it can turn into headaches, arthritis, hypertension. Isn't that crazy? That, like, how you can hold all this energy in, and if you never release it, if you never let it go, if you just hold on to it because you want it to be right. Now it's just not a emotional, mental deficit. Now it turned physical. So anger is an emotion that is pushed against oneself, right? It's you. I know you can say, "Oh, I'm angry at you." Okay, but then there's something blocked, right? There's something like, because like I said, if you're angry at somebody because they did something maybe not annoyingly that upset you, if that person is the person that I told you that you can be by, no matter what, you are not matching that person's energy. Now what? There's a blockage there. So you get angry at somebody, but that blockage will send it right back to you, and it's going to make it even 10 times worse. So you suffer from your own anger. No one else is inside your mind. So I know there's somebody that's not directly in my life, but somebody that's kind of, I know of them. And I know they have really, like, controlling, obsessive, narcissistic behavior, right? They always have to be right. If anything goes outside of scheduled time. They're just like, oh my God, like they're always about you can't get one over me, right? And I was thinking about it the other day because I was talking about this person and I say, you can't really match their energy because they're already suffering enough. So imagine all that's coming out of them onto you. You can't really get upset at it. It's who they are, one. And then two, if they're doing all of that, imagine how it is for them inside here. And instead of letting it affect you, try some forgiveness. Forgiveness can do wonders. It can heal. Might heal your headaches, arthritis, your blood pressure. You don't you don't always have to be right. It's not the purpose of every argument, really of any argument. I mean, you can go back and forth with somebody until you're blue in the face and they will never see the world as you do. This book, it talks about muscle testing. And before I ever read this book, I have done muscle testing before. And there is this technique called Psych-K. And I happen to be a Psych-K facilitator. And what it is, it's like these true subconscious beliefs that we have. If I was to ask you a question, like whatever your first name is, so if I ask you your first name, that's a pretty good response of the muscle because you know it to be true. But if I say some random name to you and then I just test your muscle, it's going to be very weak because it doesn't associate. It doesn't associate with that, right? So now we say, okay, well, I truly believe if let's say your sentence was, I I am confident when I walk into a room full of people. If that's true for yourself, if I test your muscle, then that's going to be very strong. If subconsciously you don't believe it, it's going to be pretty weak. When we tie anger into something, it is a very strong energy, but it's a very weak emotion. It weakens, you can say it pretty much weakens our immune system. Our mental, our emotional, and our physical health are weakened. There's a thing called ego blocks. So going back to ego. So what anger does is it blocks positive energy behind a situation. And instead of feeling that someone else is wrong and you're right, if you give someone something and you feel like they don't appreciate it, view it as a gift. The ego would never look at, or sorry, the if you didn't have an ego looks at it as, I'm doing this for you. What do I get in return? But then what's pretty much ego's the contrast to that is love. And love would never say, hey, I'm doing this for you. What do I get in return? And I'm not telling you to be a doormat. I'm not telling you to, you know, never do anything for yourself, don't neglect yourself and just people please. Totally, be selective on who you give that to. And like I said, if all else fails, you're more loving, you're more being appreciative and you're not getting that back, then you got to tell yourself, maybe I have to distance myself. So they say that women make more decisions based on their intuition. Be more like women. Not everybody, again, not everybody deserves our attention by getting justice. And I talked about that about women just now because I wrote a note here, and basically it was just saying that men are most left brain, and they make decisions based off logic and reason, and women are right brain and they're more about intuition. So yeah, if we can be more like women, we would have a more loving society, I think. Um, but yeah, when you're free from anger, it involves better health, peace, emotional comfort, gratitude, and love without strings attached. That is it for today. I have to get going, but thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you soon for the next live.